Hello, I'm Emily from Woolly Bear Knits, and I've never done a knitting vlog, so I thought it would be fun to show you a little bit more about what I've knit for fun this winter and spring so far, and hopefully give you some inspiration if you also like knitting sweaters. So in case you don't know, I sell cozy hand knit hats and scarves locally at craft markets here in Minneapolis and as well as online. But this winter and spring, after my busy season, I've just felt a little burned out, so I've been knitting a little bit more for fun than I normally do. But most of my year is spent knitting stock for my markets, and you might hear my dog in the background. She is decided that now is a good time to play squeaky toys. So I'm not knitting this. I thought I would be knitting a little bit more for fun. So let me show you a couple more things that I made this winter. So the first sweater I actually finished, I started it in October before the busy season, and then I was determined to wear it on Christmas Eve. So I started it in October and set it aside, and then picked it up later in December and was like, I have to finish this so I could wear it on Christmas Eve. But it is this really beautiful, I have to look at the name, it's the Christjorn Christmas Sweater by Hannah Rimmen. Hopefully I say her name correctly, but I had admired this sweater for a while, and the actual pattern calls for little embroidered red Christmas berries on there, and I just kind of left those off because I thought maybe I might want to wear this more than just right at Christmas time, so I just went with white and green. The yarn I used for this was Cascade Superwash 220 in like their natural color, I think it's color number 1, and then this like forest green color, and I held the white yarn together with Malabrigo mohair in the color natural. I didn't hold mohair together with the green, and I think it turned out just fine. So the pattern does call for holding mohair in both colors, but I don't really feel like that was necessary. I did really enjoy working with the Malabrigo mohair. This was the first time I did, and it's super soft. I don't find it as itchy as some of the other mohair I've used, but it did add a nice like fuzzy texture to this sweater and make it look super cozy. I did make a mistake in this sweater here, so in all honesty, I have this little hole in the sleeve and I have no idea how it happened. It's like a stitch got like twisted around itself or something, so that was kind of embarrassing, but I think no homemade sweater is ever going to be perfect. So this is the Christjorn Christmas Sweater by Hannah Rimmen, and I found the pattern really easy to follow. The chart was great, and I found it really enjoyable to knit once I got it finished right before Christmas Eve. So the next sweater I knit was the Nordic Mix Sweater by Laura Dahlgaard, and I had seen this sweater a lot on Instagram. I had saved a whole bunch of them, and I was actually following the hashtag Nordic Mix Sweater to get some inspiration. And I decided to knit this like an informal knit along with my friend Tammy from Southpaw Woolery. She is based in Canada and I'm in the US, but she has a lovely online yarn shop as well as a local brick and mortar yarn shop also in Canada. So if you are local, I will tag her shop below here in the description. She also will ship online to any country too. So if you need some yarn, she's got a great selection. She knit hers in like a teal variegated color and then like a really dark brown, I believe. So hers looks really different than mine. And I chose again to use Cascade Superwash 220. I bought it at my local yarn shop, Bee Woolen in Champlin, Minnesota. I'll tag them as well because they do ship online also. And I actually went on my birthday, which was fun, and picked out this yarn and started it then. So this Nordic Mix Sweater is a huge work of art. It took me a long time, but I had a lot of fun doing it. It has like blocks of different color work patterns, and you knit it from the bottom up in a tube, and then you cast off a couple, like imagine the sleeve's not here, you cast off a couple stitches and then continue in the round all the way up to the collar. You leave the collar stitches on hold while you finish the rest and then pick those up and knit the collar. One modification that Tammy and I both decided on when we looked at the pictures of this sweater online, it actually just calls for like a regular cast on, and in a lot of the pictures it was rolling up, even though the pattern does say like it's going to roll, make sure you block it. We just both didn't really like the look of that. It looked kind of unfinished, so we did an I-cord cast on, and then I also did an I-cord bind off, which I do have a video in my YouTube channel about how to do an I-cord bind off. So I used that for this, and then I found another video online. I believe it was a Very Pink Knits video, because she has awesome tutorials on how to do an I-cord cast on, which took forever, but it looks really nice. I'll show you it just looks really finished. It does, like, the collar rolls just a tiny little bit, but not as bad as it looked if you didn't do that. And then I also did an I-cord bind off on the sleeves too. So once you finish the body, then you actually steek for the sleeves, which was super scary. Steeking involves cutting a hole, or like cutting a line in your knitting, and then later picking up the stitches, and then the sleeve is knit down this way. The sleeves went super fast because they weren't as big as this huge body. But it was really scary, but it's always so fun to try something new. There was a video on TikTok that I followed that she also didn't have a sewing machine to reinforce the steek like some people use. There's a whole bunch of ways to steek. So she picked up, she did the crochet reinforcement, and then she did like a back stitch, and then she needle felted. So I did those 3 things since I didn't have a sewing machine either. So this one is super fun. It ended up this is my first bottom up sweater that I finished, and it turned out super long. My gauge is always way off vertically, and I need to do a little bit more research on why that is. I do knit English style, so I think that's part of it. If you knit continental style, I think your stitches will be shorter. So I actually, I tend to wear more like cropped things, and I am tall. So the fact that I'm tall and this is long on me would be like really long on a normal person. So if I made this again, I would probably actually just like skip this bottom. It would be pretty easy to skip like this bottom section. So I would just say, like, make sure you check your vertical gauge, or if you wanted to, I think it would be hard to stop earlier, because then you're like where you cast off for the sleeves might be too small if it was like only this big. So I'm gonna try this on and show you actually how big it is, so you can see. But it ended up like, this is the size, I should say, this is the size extra small. I have a like 32-inch bust, so I'm usually like picking size extra small or small. In shirts, I typically wear an extra small or small, so that's like usually what I tend to pick, but I'll show you what this one looks like on. So like, this is how long it is. It's pretty long. I think it would be cute over like winter leggings or something like that, but like with jeans, I don't know that I would wear this like as an outfit with jeans, just because it's like super long. But I feel like a cozy winter sweater option would be cute. So I would just say, if you're gonna make this and you are shorter than me, which you probably are, I would just make sure you check your vertical gauge, or do some math to make sure that you don't end up with a super long sweater like I did. But I'm in love with the color. This is Cascade Superwash 220. I think the color is baby blue, and then Malabrigo Rios in the color natural. So it's like not super white, but it's not that ivory color that Malabrigo has, that has more of a pinkish tint to it. It's just kind of a warm cream color. I usually only have like one big project going on at a time, but I was feeling really inspired lately, so I thought I would cast on 2 and just like not rush myself and enjoy the process. It is March now, so I'm probably not gonna be wearing these sweaters until fall. Maybe I will, but yeah, so I've got 2 on the knee. So this is the Doppio Sweater by Sung Hee Hong. Sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly, but I'll link the pattern in the story. I believe this sweater was written to have 2 strands of fingering yarn and a strand of mohair held together, so it creates this like really pretty marled look. So on Ravelry, those 3 yarns held together equate to bulky yarn. I didn't want or have the yarn to hold 2 fingering strands together, so I had this yarn in my stash forever. It's the color Rose Gold by Creo, and I recently had my colors done, my seasonal color analysis, and it turns out I'm a light spring. And in the past, I've kind of like gravitated toward these like muted mauves, in like dusty colors, but after having my colors done, I was told I'm a light spring, so my colors are light and warm, which I always, again, gravitate toward cooler colors. So I was like, this probably isn't my color. It might make me look a little washed out. So I was like, how can I make it look a little bit more pink? So I grabbed this, again, Malrio mohair in the color Old Rose, and this is like a special colorway that they have, and I'm gonna hold these two together. And I thought it was kind of fun that both have a rose name to them, so Old Rose and Rose Gold. And then held together, they create this really pretty marled texture. So the Doppio sweater is different from other raglan sweaters because you aren't increasing at the same rate all the way around, so it creates this like really pretty kind of curved raglan sleeve. And maybe you'll see it better on the side that I finished the sleeve on. So it's supposed to fit really well. It's a cropped sweater, so I'm knitting them to kind of fit like right at the top of my jeans. And I have, as you can see, about 2/3 of one sleeve done, and I haven't started on the other sleeve yet, but I've got the body done. I did enjoy knitting this. I think I find that knitting with 2 strands of yarn is a little bit more exciting when you're just knitting a whole sweater in stockinette stitches. And I kind of like the way the marling turned out. It made it kind of interesting to knit. So this one needs a good blocking, especially at the waist, to make it just lay flatter a little bit more. So hopefully I can finish that one sleeve and then move on to the next one, and then I'll be done with this one. Right now, if you can hear my cat meowing, he sounds like he's saying hello, so this might be my first and last knitting vlog. We'll see, or I'll have to put them in another room. And then the last whip I'll show you, or work in progress, is the Inge Sweater by La Knit. And she also wrote the Gabi Blouse sweater that I showed you earlier. Like I said, I did really enjoy that pattern, so I thought I would show or try another one of hers. And the colors that she knit, and it must have been a kit or something like that, because a lot of other people in Ravelry use like a beige for the base color and then a reddish orange and a bright blue, so it looks very Scandinavian. But I decided, again, like I said, to knit in my colors for my season. So I'm trying to pick colors that look better on me and hope that I will actually wear these sweaters a little bit more since I spent so much time on them. So this sweater is a raglan colorwork sweater. I like that you're only knitting with 2 colors at one time. I find to knit in like 3 colors in one row to just be really annoying, and like your yarn just gets so tangled. So this sweater, you're only knitting with 2 different colors at a time, and I like the colors that I picked for this sweater. I'm a little worried about the fit. I am knitting the size extra small, so it's the smallest size, and it's still like pretty wide. The sleeve looks huge, and I am decreasing for the sleeve as I go down, but it does look really big still, so I'm just a little worried. I won't frog it because I spent so much time on it. But I would just say, again, like my color work, for some reason, the gauge just always seems really bigger than it is normally when I would just knit stockinette. So I think I need to start going down a size needle even after doing the gauge swatch, because as I get going, I tend to just like knit super loose to overcompensate for not wanting the color work to be puckered and stuff like that. So this one needs a good blocking. I did block the top part of it just with my steam on my iron, and I didn't do the bottom. So this one will look a lot better when it's blocked, and to even out my color work. I did make a mistake here on the raglan. I didn't read the pattern right, but this, like the raglan stitches here were supposed to be this blue color, but that's okay. It's just all white on mine. So, and I did it wrong inconsistently at least, so it does match, but yeah, so this one has a kind of a fun, like rolled neck at the top. It does have short rows. I think actually all the sweaters I've shown you, except for the Nordic Mix, do include short rows to make the fit a little bit better. But this one, I'm about the same as the Doppio sweater done on the sleeve, about like halfway done with the sleeve. And the sleeves are going quickly, at least they are getting smaller, so they get faster as I go. But I'm hoping to finish that sleeve maybe this weekend or shortly after that, and then just try it on again to see, is the sleeve super big? And if it is, maybe I'll frog the sleeve and then try to make the sleeve smaller. But anyway, so I'm excited to finish this one. I was hoping, I keep starting sweaters on trips. I started this sweater when we went to Joshua Tree National Park a couple weeks ago, and it was only like here on the yoke when we started, and I've finished all this in like 2 weeks, so it goes fast. And I am enjoying it. I'm just worried about the fit a little bit. I think I wish that the sleeves were smaller and the body, like compared to the body, the sleeves have almost the same number of stitches as the front and back section of the body. So we'll see how it turns out, but I am pleased with the colors. I'm also using Cascade Superwash 220. I guess it's my new favorite yarn. I'll show you what it looks like. Actually, bought this gray color to be the base at the beginning, but then once I did a gauge swatch, there wasn't enough contrast between the light blue and the gray, so I ended up using some leftover Malabrigo Rios in the color Natural from my Nordic Mix Sweater, and I just bought 2 more skeins of it, and so I'm using that as the base. But the main color, this color A, is this minty blue from Cascade, and then this is like a Kelly green. And I think they look really fun together. If I have any left over, I think I might make mittens, like colorwork mittens in these 2 colors held together. So that was my first knitting vlog of what I've been making. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll show you a finished video once these are done, and maybe I'll show you some of my other sweaters, the ones that I actually wear the most that I've knit, because that's always fun to see, the ones that I actually wear like day to day. So thanks for tuning in, and you can follow me on Ravelry to see my projects. I'll link my Ravelry account in there, where I have lots of detailed notes about like what size I made and any modifications I made to each pattern. So thanks for tuning in.